and we used that money to get some more parts. And every time we set up a little checking account, and every dime that we earned, we put in there, and that's what paid for our racing, because we didn't have no money to spend on racing. We were living from payday to payday, both of us were, and so that, and we tried to race Friday, Saturday, and Sunday so we could make enough money to race again the next weekend. And
I see the FedMart. Tell me about the FedMart sponsorship.
I think they gave us some parts and pieces and helped us out a little bit.
And I see the bird that's on there just
Martinez.
below. Martinez. So what did those guys?
Funny stories about Martinez.
And did they paint and letter the car for you, or what did they do for you?
Every car I ever owned, he did.
Yeah.
We were out in Santee, and this car needed to be lettered, and I called him up. He said, okay, I'll come out and do it for you. So I'm in the garage working, and I didn't even see him drive up. And he had an old panel truck. All of a sudden, I smelled something. And I looked out there was truck smoke's coming out of his truck. He got in there, man. He's just as smooth as glass. He
did a great job.
He could really letter, boy.
Yeah, wow.
It was a riot.
Okay, I see a Tom Hanna car here, don't I? Or do I see? Or is this Jerry?
That's Lenco's car.
That's Lenco's car.
Yeah. And this is Cope Brothers.
And did Hanna build that body, do you think?
Byron, I think, and it might have been. Might have been a Hanna body.
That's a beauty.
I think it's a Byron car.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, look, this is Hanna's trademark rights to do those.
Yeah, I think it was. And this is Cope Brothers.
Okay, hold on. Let me get over to that one.
Cope Brothers helped me a lot. They early on, Emery Cook was driving. And I didn't say much about Emery Cook, but Emery Cook was one of the forerunners in drag racing. Just to give you a little history on Emery, Cook and Bedwell had a car that was a world record holder car, 169 miles an hour, when Garlett started to become famous. And they paid Emery and Bidwell to go back there and race Garlett. Garlett beat him. And that was the first time that any of us really ever thought Garlett was serious. And then they paid Garlett $1,000 to come to Bakersfield. And that's when I was running my B Fuel car that I told you I won Bakersfield with. And Garlett came up there with an unblown Chrysler, 25 Chevy rails on that thing. It was a piece of junk. And I wanted to see what this was all about, so I ran up on the starting line and I stood from here to that wall from his car when he left the line, and he staged the car, took a half a turn in the steering wheel and dropped the hammer on that thing, and he ran 175 miles an hour if my memory serves me correctly, and I almost fell over. I couldn't believe he went that fast. And the next weekend he had a blower, because Chrisman beat him that weekend. Chrisman ran 180 with a blown Chrysler. And the next weekend, Garlett had a blower on his car and was running over 180. In fact, the next weekend he was at Riverside, if I remember.
You see that trailer on the hill?
That's Carlsbad.
Yeah.
The last weekend of Carlsbad.
That's the trailer that Ongaius and I argued in.
Yeah, and all of your history was laying in the dust on the floor of that thing. I couldn't believe all the paperwork that was laying in the floor of that trailer.
When Harold Miller was helping Bill Levitt,
yeah,
Levitt, it was the last round, eliminations, and Levitt, I can't remember who he was racing, but he beat the guy. But the wind light came on the other guy's lane, and what happened, a rabbit ran across the track, tripped the lights, and Harold's a big boy, okay, and Harold doesn't hardly argue with anybody. And they were awarding this other guy the win. Harold went up to the trailer and told him, if you don't get this straightened up, he said, I'm going to tip your trailer over. And Harold was big enough to do that. They finally, the other guy said, yeah, but he was 2 car lengths in front of me, and they got it squared away, and Levitt ended up winning the money.
Well, that's kind of the same thing that happened with Ongais and I. Ongais and I went to the last round at Carlsbad opening day, and I left first, but both of us red lighted because they didn't have the clock set right. And I'm not going to give up. I mean, I knew I was wrong, but I was arguing, and we argued in that damn trailer because what I wanted him to do is I wanted him to take runner-up money and top eliminator money and then split it 50-50. That's what I wanted. I thought that's the only fair thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Even though I left first.
Now that car on the left, Warner and Brown, I think they called that the Desert Rat.
Exactly. Yep. And I raced them several times.
They were around, man. They made a lot of made a lot of shows.
Yes.
It
In
was
fact,
really
I ran
interesting.
into those guys over at a car show over in Yuma not too long ago.
And the car on the right, what is that? Is that Quickie 2?
That's Bill Levitt's
Bill Levitt's
Quickie
car
2.
right there.
Yeah, okay.
Bill Levitt's Quickie 2.
Beautiful pictures, man. Hardy just took some great stuff. And okay, and on the left,
Frank Cannon.
Frank Cannon.
I didn't know if you had any pictures of him. I was thinking of that on the way over here, Bill Trailer. I said, I remember Lechien racing trailer at Ramona, and it was on the cover of Drag News. And I said, I wonder if he has any pictures of old Bill Trailer. And
Yep,
there
there
he
he
is.
is.
There
Bill
he is.
Trailer. Who's
Yeah.
that? Who's Bill Trailer? The one on the right or the left? I'm
Wasn't
sorry.
he from Kansas or something?
He was from the
East?
Midwest
Yeah.
somewhere. I worked at Schneider's at the time. I was the guy who, when you opened up your valve spring box and there was 15 instead of 16, I was your guy, or a few keepers were missing. I was the packaging shipping guy at Schneider's, and Trailer came out. He was like supposedly a professional drag racer. He had this old Ford truck, and this car he built himself and had never run this car, and came out to California. And it had the strangest roll cage on it. Well, you can see how he's sitting in there.
Wow.
You can't see anything. and up to Ramona we went, and we raced Dick in the final. And in fact, it's a really good picture on Drag News because one of the few times Dick was last off the starting line, but he drove around old Bill to win. I
Good
remember
story,
that
boys.
like it was
That's
yesterday. Yeah.
fantastic. Okay. Oh, look at these. Look at these.
Okay, this is
I see
Adams, this
Rick
is-
Stewart on the left,
yeah,
right?
this is Adams and Stewart and
Yeah.
Crosley and Williams.
Okay, so yeah, that shot wound up as a centerfold in, gosh, I want to say Carcraft magazine because it was one heck of a
Oh, that's a
lead.
beautiful picture.
It was amazing, and
That's when drag racing was at
Yes.
its finest.
Yeah.
yes, absolutely, totally agree. Let me get a shot. Let me get the shot on the right now,
This is J&S Speed Center.
and we're talking
Running-
blown Chevy,
oh,
aren't we?
running little
Small
Chevy.
block and
Yeah.
nice. Look at the shot. Look at how gorgeous that was. Now he used flash photography, I think, to help with some of the lighting. Okay, thank you very much. These are just great.
Bob was a fabulous
He was the best.
photographer. Chris Karamesines.
Karamesines
Oh
car.
yeah, the Greek. So, oh man.
Tell you a
that's
little
just going-
story about him. First time I ever met Chris was at Bakersfield at the Fuel and Gas Championships March meet, and I was lined up behind him, and I hadn't gotten the car yet. I was just getting my gear on and everything. I walked up to his car because I thought I was going to run him, and I looked down in the car and he had a pistol stuck between his legs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I said, Chris, what are you doing with a gun? He says, I don't go nowhere without my gun.